and who does the logistics. I mean, and
Exactly,
everything can be
yes,
outsourced
yeah,
now.
correct,
So it's just a
everything.
matter of really tapping the right people.
So I've actually been an event manager at Coachcom, and we have been the event owner that hired an event manager naman to do it for us. So we've been on both sides of the fence. Sports publications is also picking up. A couple of years back, I published a sports magazine called College Ball. It was geared specifically for the UAP and the NCAA. And we made a lot of money, but it was too time-consuming, just editing and all
of
that
course,
stuff.
all the content.
Yeah, so I figured it wasn't. But I put together the country's best coaches, and they came in with they wrote articles and they contributed. So it was really nice.
Yeah.
But
So
then
it's
it was too
it's
consuming.
it's
too
still ongoing, or
time-consuming.
you?
No, we stopped it.
We gave
now.
it up.
Sayang, but that's a
But
good
it's okay.
idea.
I mean, yeah, that's something.
That's a
I think
really nice
like
idea.
people who are into graphic design and writing, they
Exactly.
can also. I mean, even if they're not into sports, they can actually cater to those who want to.
Yeah, because the people that we hired were all students.
Yeah.
The graphic artists, the layout artists, were all students, and it did very well. Because I had a very strong image in my mind of how I wanted the magazine to look
So
like.
you really envisioned.
Yeah.
The-
Because there's really no nice sports magazine.
Yeah, actually.
Right now, diba? So that's another thing.
It's creating a breakthrough in that. I mean, people are saying, "Oh, there's so many sports magazines already," but
Yeah.
it's actually trying to put a bit of space in between. I can actually make a new magazine out of something that people haven't
what we're
thought
seeing
of.
now, some sports magazines are out there, but the writers are writers. What we did in our magazine was
Something
the
more
writers and
relevant.
contributors were coaches.
Okay.
Were the experts.
So you're able to insert a new
Yes.
segment.
But we also had a chismis portion about sports, but it was really for the serious basketball. And dami nun dito.
It's very
it's surprising.
popular.
Yeah. So that's another line to get into. So there's a lot of things, and I think the whole industry is pregnant or waiting for more ideas.
Pregnant,
It's
yeah.
pregnant with potential. That's what I wanted.
I mean, there are a lot. Endless possibilities. And as you said, even if you're not into sports, maybe there's something in sports that can be serviced by a certain company. Like, let's say if you're into, as I've said, giveaways or services or ads, even the ad signs, even the boxes of the popcorn. I mean,
Almost every big company wants to be involved in sports because it's good for the brand. And if they want to
Like
be
Smart.
associated with winning, with competition. Smart is so big into sports, Nestle is so big into sports. Even companies which have absolutely nothing to do with sports, like what's that ad? This cheesy. That pizza, diba? That nothing
The
to do with
Greenwich, I
sports.
think
Yeah,
Greenwich,
but they still use athletes, diba? So a lot of companies, there's an
and actually, they use athletes as role models. Like, Manny Pacquiao is...
Correct.
Of course.
Diba?
He's in every ad.
But there's
possible.
always a flip side, like what happened to Kobe Bryant when he had this rape controversy before. But now, he's gotten over it and he's back to being one of the top endorsers. So there's so many other ways to do it. The question is always, is it profitable enough? I think
And is it
that's the question.
sustainable
And
also?
it
could be
goes
profitable
hand in
now.
hand. Now,
but
yeah, and sustainable.
tomorrow,
Correct. That's why that's a challenge. But the sustainability, we really don't know because it's such in its infancy now. It's so young. The sports business industry is so young now, and we really don't have sports business professionals. I know one or two who have MBAs in sports management or in sports marketing.
But it's a minority. It's more
wala,
yeah,
konti lang
an exception
talaga.
rather than a
It's basically product managers whose products are into sports, so they are in the sports business industry, or ex-athletes who are putting up a camp, or so they're in the sports business industry. But what we still have to find is universities or colleges here who specialize in really churning out sports business experts.
Of
And there are a
course.
couple of programs in the US, like the University of Oregon, where they really have one of the best
Sports business
It's
program.
actually an MBA.
In sports business.
It's a master's
Wow.
in sports business.
But
So,
here, we don't, I mean, you're just
wala
teaching
pa
one
yun
class.
Yeah,
and
wala pa yun.
Of course,
So,
it's just maybe a brief background of what the sports business is all about, but it
Correct.
doesn't really focus
not
much
yet.
on
Essentially, it's still
on
part of
sports.
the entire business. It's not. I don't think in the Philippines it deserves a category all its own, I think.
Not yet.
Pero malapit na yun, di ba? I mean,
It's
you look-
emerging. I mean, I think right now the important thing is to look at the trends also, because if it's not yet, as you said, that mature now, it will mature sometime. So I mean, it's really being there when the time of, I mean, when the time is, when you know it's growing.
I mean, take a look at what's happening now. Concerts are down. Foreign acts, very few. Local acts, local concerts, very few. There's nothing really happening too much in the club scene or that industry. But what you see every day is there's a new marathon, there's a PBA, then there's the UAP, then there's Liga Filipinas, and then there is Pacquiao, and then there's a big billiards tournament just last week, and then there's URC, our local version. So what's on now is all sports. Most of the events that are on now are sports. So that's gotta tell you something.
Yeah, and you know, it's not like, I mean, even if we're in recession or there's a crisis, sports will, I think, be there to entertain people. And of course, people who love to do it would still want to do it as a stress reliever or for leisure or whatever.
For health talaga, for health, and now that's so big, diba, well-being.
Yeah,
that's so
course,
big. So, you know,
it's not just physical wellness. As you said, you know, you as a coach, I think you attest to the fact that it's really it's a mental thing in sports more than a physical. I mean, of course, you have to do some bodybuilding, weight, all those stuff, training, but I think it's really, you know, what
the
what's
mental
in the mind
and
of the
emotional attributes are really the big bonus of being in sports, apart from the obvious physical advantages. Yeah.
Of course. And I'm just curious, how do you actually train your players mentally, or even those whom you coach with Coachcom Inc. What strategy do you implement, or do you know, experiment on?
For me, the most important, the number one step is to know your player well, personally, as a person, not only as a player. And I tell the managers also, the best way to lead your people is to know them personally, you know, on a personal level, not just as an employee. Now, someone will say, but I have 300 people reporting to me. I say, yeah, you have 300, but I would bet that you have your first 5 or your top 10 managers or assistants or staff on whom you rely to get most of your work done. So I would say know that person very well, and by doing so, you're going to have an idea of how to motivate that person, number one.
Because you know how to, communicate with
you know what's important to that person.
Of course.
And then that's going to improve your communication, that's going to improve your motivation, and then that's going to let you know the other things, like your question on mental toughness or mental excellence. It goes hand in hand. It's hard to be mentally strong if you're emotionally weak.
Of course.
So knowing that person builds your trust, and then it helps in every other way. After that, then I actually study a lot of mental techniques, mental toughness techniques. So it varies. The mental tough techniques for golf are different from basketball, obviously, because the sport is different.
Of course.
So there are different things, but
the general idea is
the common denominator is every sport, every athlete wants to figure out how to get in the zone.
Yeah,
where you golf, the hole looks this big, where you're not gonna miss a shot. Same thing in basketball, where the rim looks like an ocean, you're not gonna miss anything. So that's always whatever sport, it transcends all sports. You want to find a way to get into the zone. And that's where the individual methods vary. Iba-ibang strategy, iba-ibang techniques that are put together by psychologists, by ex-athletes. They have all different ways to do it. And to get into the zone, you have to find a situation where you are not thinking. You are just letting
go,
and letting go and letting it be.
Being absorbed by your own environment.
How to get there, that's the trick.
That's the big question mark.
That's the key. That's how great coaches, that's what separates the great coaches from the mediocre coaches.
From the good coaches.
Because it's what separates the good
from the great
pros from the great pros, or from the regular golfer to the Tiger Woods, for example.
Definitely.
How to get there.
So I think even in entrepreneurship, of course, you see a lot of mom and pop businesses there, and And the big businesses, on the other hand, like the multinationals, even local corporate